Logistics is the backbone for these economies.
Globally, logistics, I would call, is the heart. If there is no logistics, it will be a standstill. Government has been quite instrumental in terms of infrastructure development, because without infrastructure, logistics cannot perform. Or for example, right now, a latest scenario is where the Gulf crisis are going on, where you see the oceans are stuck, the airports are stuck, and we can feel the chaos to an extent of right now a basic necessity like gas is not available.
Let's say if logistics stopped for 72 hours, what could happen?
In short, let's say for real 72 hours, if things have to stop.
A very warm welcome, Rajes, to our studios, DWMH studios here in Mumbai. And I'm glad, out of all the traffic which was there in Mumbai, you still could make it here on time. So, to everyone listening here today, Rajesh Bhanushali is a director at Teamglobal. The company is based out of Mumbai and services across global into logistics. One of the key things which this sector does, I think, which we are going to explore here today, and like to understand more on logistics and how that logistic industry works while we look at that. But to a simple layman or people who are listening to this, if I have to say, what is logistics?
Yeah, so I think so. Logistics has been there from the life has been there. Only COVID was the time when people heard about supply chain, and then they started wondering when they did not get what they want. That's where people started knowing, oh, there's something called logistics. So in simple term is moving any material from point A to point B through various channels and ensuring that it reaches on time, safe and sound at a cost efficiency, keeping in mind the cost efficiency.
Oh, so basically, I think you are putting smiles onto people's faces. I think once they order a good, I think there's a lot of backend thing which is happening. And as a point A to point B, crazy. So it can be across states, across cities,
Cities,
across geographies.
Yeah, it's
Wow, very interesting.
yeah,
So
it's international. It's logistics is almost, I think so. What kind of 30 trillion kind of an size of the business? It's huge, and mainly I would say ocean is the mode of transport which is opted, considering the cost efficiency
okay,
and the size that moves around the globe. So it's huge. It's
wow, 30 trillion.
$30 trillion. It's the size is only going to go up. If you see, the demand has been going up across at all levels.
So when we have these different countries who do import and export, right? And as import and export also is part of their GDP, and that's where economies start, economies scale. So does that mean logistics is the backbone for these economies?
Globally, logistics, I would call, is the heart. If there is no logistics, it will be a standstill.
Let's say if logistics stopped for 72 hours, maybe it's kind of 3 days, what could happen?
In short, we are asking for something which is kind of unimaginable as of today. But in case, if you say, let's say for real 72 hours, if things have to stop, we have experience in COVID, what had happened. We have experience during the Suez Canal, which was stopped with one of the ship getting stuck. Or for example, right now, a latest scenario is where the Gulf crisis are going on, where you see the oceans are stuck, the airports are stuck, and we can feel the chaos to an extent of right now a basic necessity like gas is not available. Look at the business, for example, you go to Morbi, which is a tiles industry, 600 units are shut because there is no gas. So 72 hours is kind of long. It is a huge loss across, and these losses even can't be known because the impact is global.
That's super crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of a very it's unimaginable, to be honest, and that's where uh, logistics now with this current government gets a priority, the way India is going through.
So, do you think these incidents which happen right from the Gulf, COVID, the Suez Canal, and others such across there has brought the importance to the logistics industry, which was not there earlier?
Yeah, it has increased the awareness. People are aware. It's a customer now talks about how we can help them to reduce their cost in relation to getting their shipments on time, kind of thing. And even today, you will find a logistician mostly across, thanks to food delivery companies,
Ah,
Swiggy's,
yeah.
and all they're doing is giving you something which is in shortest time and a great convenience.
But then this logistics, as you said, I think comparing to the logistics which happens on the sea or the cargoes over the air, and the logistics which happens inland. But then would this logistics be a different part which happens in inland, and because here the logistics is over sea or air, that can have very difficulties or different set of challenges to it.
Yeah, so logistics is a wide word. Uh, it can happen on a small area to international boundaries. My larger portion of experience has been only on international logistics, where we move shipments right across seas. M- Shipments move around from a point A to point B, was which I mentioned earlier. But
Yes.
behind what all is involved, from customs to warehouses to ships to intermodals.
So you said point A and you said point B. Could you kind of give the audience a workflow in which one package moves from A to B? What all kind of stuff goes back?
Yeah, so see, all it starts is the seller and the buyer agreeing to accept and execute an order. So the seller, once the order is received, the goods are ready, packed from the warehouse. Trucking company comes in place, picks up the goods, gets to the original warehouse is a shipper warehouse. The goods come to the customs bonded warehouse. The documentation is processed. The customs clearance activities happen. The goods are examined in India. Rest of the economies, the so-called economies which are larger ones and the developed economies, there is a lot of automation which happens where physical examination of goods are not happening. But after the examination, the goods are packed into the container, moved into the terminals where the ships arrive. Goods are loaded on the ships. Uh, Transit happens to the destination. Either it's a direct ship or a transshipment.
Okay.
After the arrival of the goods at destination, once again the containers are discharged, trucked to the nearest warehouse, unpacked, custom cleared, again trucked to the final receiver. And in this, you have insurance, which plays a key role. And there are a lot of communication, coordination, which happens with various agencies. And this is all done by a logistics company.
Wow. This is kind of huge operations is what I understand. I think you have the zipper warehouses, then you have the uh, trucks, basically transport, which would pick up things and even drop things at the other side, maybe then deliver it to the customs. I think the customs will again run its set of uh, p- policies, procedures, operations. Plus then there is a shipping company, as you said, if I understand correctly, is they kind of take the cargo in and then they will en route it to the destination,
Right.
again unloading,
Yeah.
again the same reverse thing starts, custom and a custom to a transportation company, then to a final endpoint warehouse, and from there again then it's a local logistics. It would require tremendous people and systems, right?
Yeah. So far, thanks to the technology, the communication happens very swiftly. Then 1980, 85, it used to be everything was on fax. So you
Oh,
can
yes.
imagine the challenges. You wait for weeks and weeks. So the speed was very slow.
Ah,
Today, to execute a shipment, we can really commit certain time duration, and we work on efficiencies. And schedule integrity is something which is customers look at it, where we can assure them on certain timelines the shipment will be arriving at
so
destination.
it's interesting. So I think maybe in 1980s or 85, you said this is fax machines which you were dependent on, but that was the fastest maybe mode of communication that time. So if there was, let's say, compared to that era and now where we are, where the internet is kind of 5G and plus super high speed internets are available, uh, if a shipper had to book one and then here a shipper had to book one, what's the kind of duration you see for just booking an order and then letting it happen?
Yeah, so 1985, a shipper would travel to destination to get an order. Uh, uh, there was no other means of having your website or an exhibition happening quite often, or your social media or anything to get an order. Vis-a-vis today, sitting in one corner anywhere in the world, you can really get an orders for your shipment. So the business has become very efficient, and technology plays a key role in that.
Well, it's very interesting to know. I think the kind of technology changes or transformation which is brought to the logistics industry is great. I think now it's all about more efficiency, it's all about more effectiveness, and I think commitments in terms of SLAs or timelines is what you are saying. You can commit now much
Yeah,
better.
there is a lot of certainty that is existing today, thanks to, of course, various stakeholders collaborating together and giving the final experience to the
Wow.
customers.
So, but then as we understand logistics, uh, I think for a lot of us, when we see logistics, uh, we kind of, because as we talked about, we see these uh, delivery apps doing delivery. So for everybody, we think logistics is hard, the door to door delivery. That's it. I think we don't see the larger scale there. Uh, and I don't know, but I still feel that there's a lot of misconception about logistics, about the logistics industry. People who do not know about this still after post COVID, while the awareness was high, but the misconception is still there. There is still that one piece apart from the community of logistics who understand the kind of importance, but to the wider audience, I think they still feel that no, the fast delivery apps are logistics.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. What has happened is India logistics industry was not defined also from the government side. It has taken a long time. And if you see now the initiatives which government has taken, the awareness has come in. There are institutes now where you can qualify and become a professional logistician. In the past, there was no such kind of an option for any individual to make an attempt to qualify. You go to Germany, there is proper apprentice. You qualify, you study, you take an experience, and then join the company. So it's a very different world. As I said, the developed countries logistics is very different compared to India.
But India is still developing, right? I think.
We are still developing.
But
Way to go.
compared to the global logistic industry, uh, how is the Indian logistic industry going with?
In fact, I would say we are moving at a very fast pace. Government has been quite instrumental in terms of infrastructure development, because without infrastructure, logistics cannot perform. We have some super high tech ports coming in, where today these ports are able to handle ships digitally. Imagine hardly any human resource in the terminal, and the ships are being handled. It's in Kerala. It's a first initiative
So
by
it's complete autonomous.
autonomous, and it's a if I have to share this with somebody who is not from the industry, will not trust me that you can handle a ship kind of
No, no,
digitally.
I think you may have captains, you may have those crew
Yeah, they are
members.
on the ship, right? But
Yes.
then, other than that, if you go to the terminal today, let's say you go to Navasheva or you go to any of the ports in India, you'll find so many people running around, coordinating for various activities. But the same thing, you go to this port in Cochin and see the activity. It's completely autonomous, and the way it's operating, it's world class. Adding to that, if you see, the government has also been focusing a lot on road developments. The construction of highways has been fantastic. So there are certain initiatives like Sagamala, which is kind of really high focus, and PMO office is personally involved in that. Indian government's commitment to World Trade Organization, where there has been stress on improving the overall logistics cost. So infrastructure improvement and coordination with all the agencies involved has really been the key factor for the developments that are happening. New ports have been coming. We have various because what has happened is the growth. As I said, the economy is growing. So unless ports and roads are not there, the international execution of shipments is practically not easy. There is a limit to certain ports capacity, and that's where. And this is all. It has to come from center. The government has to get involved for these are massive policy changes which had to be done, and I think so government has done a fantastic job. Additionally, also, if you see now, last few years, government has been stressing a lot to move, include and use more waterways. India is blessed to be culturally rich with the waterway solutions that we have got. So the amount of cargo that moves, the logistics companies, they move the cargo inland within India using road transport instead of road transport, using the waterways, is at a very different level.
Okay, so when you say the waterways, are these the canals or the rivers?
So these are rivers, these are seas. The amount of business that moves from Gujarat, example, into south, or south into east is phenomenal. So so people from the not from the industry won't even know, but behind the scene, it's so much.
Wow.
So example, tiles of manufactured in Morbi. Now manufacturing happens in Morbi, but construction happens across India, and these tiles are moved within India using the waterways, where you can load close to 27, 28 tons on a container. And now imagine
28
the
tons in a
stress.
container.
Yeah, imagine the stress on the roads if these had to move. So
Yeah,
these are the
I'm kind
solutions
of.
which a logistics company offers, and it is a win-win because you are taking care of nature, you are reducing the cost, and efficiencies are very high, including cutting down risks.
Right, right, right. Because I'm sure when this 28 ton has to move by the road, it will be
You need few vehicles
very few vehicles,
and
yes,
the
and
time
plus the time. Time, I think, would be the biggest hurdle which is there.
risk and the
I'm
stress
sure
on the roads.
stress on the roads is again a challenge for infrastructure there. So we talked about logistics and how it is shaping the global economy. Plus, India is growing at a rapid pace, and logistics has been at the core of it. But here we are. I think the West Asia war, right, which is now happening, has given a rise to a lot of global tensions across the sector. Plus, you have, due to which I think we have the supply chain disruptions happening, and that's leading to the trade conflicts, right? Because as simple as what you said before, the simplest, one of the largest, simplest element of goods, the gasoline or the oil, right, which is required, is now at stake. We have seen in COVID, but this situation is very different. It is disrupting, it is changing the supply chain, and it is a biggest trade conflicts across respective countries. Where does logistics all stand there? How is the industry coping up with it?
Yeah, wars are never good. It's always a challenge, and this one is really big for India. because for us, we have been one of the largest partners into Middle East. Middle East really goes to an extent of almost 50% of the goods are imported from India subcontinent, and India plays a huge role. Today, approximate around 55,000 containers are stranded, where exporters are worried about what will happen to their shipments. Uh, some are on the ship, some are on the sea. The ship cannot enter the terminal. Terminals are damaged. And Jebel Ali port, which is one of the largest port as a receiver, has not been operational. There is alternate options like Kofukan and Fujairah have been offered, but then those are very tiny ports for the kind of volume that we do, and it's a disruption, I can tell you, in a big way. The war is absolutely a chaos for the Indian exporters, and especially for the customers who have not insured their goods, because this is a complete 100% damage. It's a loss. You have to write it off, and the liabilities are huge, because it's when the goods are, for example, something happens in the sea, and they're lying on the sea, the cost is incurring in terms of storages or in terms of return of the shipment from mid sea to the terminal or to the factory. It happens that the value of the goods is lesser than the overall cost. So the kind of liability hanging around exporters is to a larger extent. And I've been talking to many of lately, and they've been like, unfortunately, not much of clarity as what will happen. But Indian government has taken an amazing initiative to ensure that exporters get support from giving very easy access for the ships to call back an Indian terminals, or customers who want to take their shipments back, they can be facilitated where with an ease of like making an online application and clearing of your goods on fastest way.
Okay.
So in general, I would say that we have never seen Indian government so efficient and speed wise. I'm sorry, not an efficiency, but on the speed wise, they have been amazing to get these policies in place, because these are, let's keep in mind, it is not only India government also has to keep in mind the security and the safety, that there is no misuse happening on these policies. So a lot of credit to the government.
I think we spoke about global tensions and disruptions, but then we keep on hearing this, right? I think you spoke about the access to the port is denied, or the ships stay in the mid sea there. But parallelly, if you see, right, it's a huge loss. If there is a daily export and an import happening vis-a-vis, there is an X amount of money which has already been, parked. And if that shipment has to come back, it is completely a loss for, I think, the entire, not just that particular company or that firm, but likewise in number of firms which impact the entire import export. If in a day, I'm not sure, but if you can kind of give some throw us some number, like in a day, how much would India export, let's say, to Middle East?
So per day wise would be difficult, but in percentage wise, is as I said, it's we have been one of the largest trading partners with Middle East. And coming back to your discussion on the goods coming back and challenge, yeah, it's a cash trap. The cash flows are badly affected. Certain goods are tailor made, where there is no further solution as what you can do. In case it's a general goods, then exporters do look at an alternate option, whether other country or selling it domestic or something. Then there is, let's not forget, there is perishable, from vegetables to bananas to these kind of goods which have a very small shelf life. So they are thrown out in the domestic market right now, with no choice left, even at a subsidized price. So yeah, I can say that it's not a good time.
But then we keep on hearing in the news about a lot of because Middle East typically depends on larger imports from India and other for a lot of food related goods which is there, and their supermarkets kind of that's where how the supermarkets are running. So I just heard a news saying, I think it's the Lulu Group.
Lulu, yeah.
They took some 80% of imports which happening, but then that's again a risk, but it paid off well. So doesn't that give confidence to other importers there, if such kind of a firm has taken and brought in goods? So wouldn't that give the confidence to the importers as well as the exporters here in India?
Oh, absolutely. However, the what Lulu has just executed is a very small portion compared to the overall trade. So these kind of services are not available for the MSMEs or the mid-sized companies. They are the ones who suffer large in such scenario. Uh, and the big ones still manage to get some solutions to the existing stock or the orders that are pending.
We hear these ships are in the mid sea. What if, I think, or if there's an incident which happened where the ships have been destroyed because of that war which is happening? What happens then?
Yeah, so that can happen, and in order to ensure that the risk is taken care, all that happened is the insurance which happens on the ship is basically the underwriters are fully involved, where a ship is particularly insured with one company, and then there are sub underwriters who will take a portion of coverage basis respective companies. So they raise their hands all of a sudden, and that's where now the ships don't call Middle East in current scenario. In short, Jebel Ali is one where they're not calling. There is no insurance, and the ship owners won't risk to sail through a war zone, because if the insurance is not there, nobody wants to take the risk. So that's why temporary there is almost no trade happening. Parallelly, government has worked out, the UAE government has worked out as a solution that can some goods enter through Corfocan
Okay.
as a solution. But considering the size of the port and the operational levels of Corfocan versus Jebel Ali, both can't be compared with. So therefore, right now you can say that it's a standstill. Additionally, there was also uh, just before this war happened, where we had assurance coming in saying the Red Sea channel is going to be operational. And there were announcements by Maersk, CMA CGM, Hapag-Lloyd. These are global top shipping companies to start using Red Sea for a gateway towards Europe. Is also now not operational. Things are going back to the routing use being Cape of Good Hope, where the transit times are high, the costs are very high, and you need more number of ships to reach a particular destination.
And I think you have
So,
the pirates there.
fortunately, on that side,
No?
there is no pirates.
Great.
But yeah, the Houthis and on the Red Sea side, there is a risk. So it currently again it's a status quo, and we wait for this war to get over. And I mean, yesterday I believe there was a tweet that they're going to be U.S. Defense team is going to be ensuring that the route is taken care, but the tweet was deleted, and let's see. It's wait and watch.
So I think it's a risk not just for the suppliers and the buyers, but also I think in between on this ship, if you have these crew and the shippers, right? I think these are the merchant navy people. So it's life. Goods plus life is super high risk. Wow. Logistics has changed the face now, I think, of the world, and I think everybody has understood logistics because I think wars, but more importantly, I think people involved for logistics, and I think, I hope the war doesn't continue, and leaders like you and your team and the entire logistics industry keeps on doing the work which you guys are doing, so that economies kind of do import exports, and that's where GDP grows.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in fact during such situation we call it the leaders come take the lead and ensure that we work tirelessly, irrespective of weekends or extra hours, and ensure that our customers are communicated on what is happening, especially the status, because at the end they are the owner of the goods. and it is our prime duty to ensure that we take care of the goods, and we are in a position to give them certain clarity as what is happening with their shipments. So yeah, I mean, it is a extra efforts everyone has to put in to ensure we are on top of things.
So which means now the logistic firms across India would be in a pressure to give clarity to its customers, plus both the up and the downside stream of your suppliers.
Yeah, there is an extra pressure because what happens is right now it's called choke. We have a Middle East sector which
Choke.
is, yeah. What happens is the goods are lying in the warehouse, and there are more goods coming in. So warehouse is not meant for storage. The international warehouses are mainly custom bonded warehouses. Are goods come in and out. That is the function. But right now they are under the storage. So we are worried now. What do we do with the space requirements? And so it's right now, as I said, it's challenging. However, we have seen such challenges also in the past, and the experience has helped us to handle things in a better way.
The businesses know how resiliency has to be built and maintained.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we in India talk about becoming a global manufacturing place and the big logistic hub. Do you think India is ready for that role, and or will it still take time, or it's a long way to go, as we could say?
Yeah, if you see, the drive of Make in India has been there for a while. Uh, COVID really opened the eyes where world realized that we can't depend only on China, and the next best option on the size was India. And initiatives of Make in India, the incentive policy from the government side, PLI schemes which have been initiated, have really taken shape, and a lot of larger organizations have been utilizing this facility. For example, Apple, or for example, right now you might have seen the data centers. The Amazon has come in on a big way. And apart from that, there are a lot of Indian companies have increased the size. However, the need of the world is you can't replace China overnight. China took its own sweet time to grow to the size and become a solution where a lot of support was available from the West. And that kind of support is now coming to India. But we have way to go. We are on the right track. And we need to really collaboratively work with each other and ensure that we offer the best option for the world. But again, it is India can't handle all the needs of exporters or importers single-handedly. It is there are multiple countries, like, so for example, after COVID, what has happened is the Asia markets like Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, they have all grown because there is no one country who can handle the need of the global exports or imports.
Right. I think it would be massive scale. I think, as you said, one country could not handle it because I think that gets split across these other set of countries.
Yeah. So India, we have now, as I said, on the Sagarmala, then we have the dedicated freight corridors, which are there. These are all developments, the terminals, the ports. So we are on the right track. But if you ask me straight that are we there? No, we are on the way.
On the way.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
way. Well, I think somebody from I think in India said that we India will definitely get support from the global leaders or the economies there, but India would still not be there yet.
Yeah, see, this requires a huge infrastructure. And infrastructure takes time. So, but yeah, I mean, we are on the way. So it is matter of time.
So I think so where you were saying we are on the way, let's take this to the next level. Let's talk about future of logistics, right? So I would like to know from you how much technology transformation has helped logistics today. What I would want to kind of take this is, what changes do you see in the entire supply chain, as we discussed, right, has happened in terms of the technologies? If you could give us some insights on the kind of technologies used in this pockets of workflow?
There is a phenomenal advancements which have happened. There have been breakthroughs to unimaginable level. Global largest company Maersk Line invested many years back on development of tools, joining hands with IBM in Bangalore and putting in almost a huge task force to work towards where today digitally you can really book a shipment, execute documents, make payments, and your goods can be from point A to point B without any human involved. To name advancements that have happened in the industry, I already shared with you the advancements on technology on the terminal side. On the warehouse side, automated warehouses, sorting, storage, sorting, loading, lot wise once the trucks are arriving. So warehouses have been automated. Documentation has gone to a very different level where today physical exchange of bills of lading is no more needed. There are various digital documents available for an international exchange of documents. Banks are connected. I would say advancement on technology has been a great at a very different level, and it's the growth has only been possible thanks to technology and to handle the kind of volumes that we are seeing. So even today, in spite of a disruption, I'll share with an example right now. Recently, there was an ship which arrived in Port Sudan, and there are no couriers happening because there's no flights moving in right now. So a customer wanted a solution, and then they were requesting how can the delivery happen because it's a Eid cargo and Eid is going on. So we just converted the document into from original into a digital where it's a BL, where just a transmission of manifest that it reads EBL and no physical BL, and the consigning or delivery on a Friday, saving time. And what happens? These Eid goods are seasonal. So once this Eid gets over, these goods are useless. So, and thanks to technology, we could do this.
Okay. This is for the audience. What is EBL?
So it's called electronic bill of lading. Yeah, it's a receipt. Bill of lading is nothing but a receipt for the goods that are rendered. So it's in short a receipt.
Receipt
Receipt
okay.
of goods.
Receipt of goods. Wow, interesting.
And that's the most important document for exchange of goods. The buyer does not get goods till he gives the BL.
Right. Very interesting. And that all happened because you made it so it is electronically done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and because of technology.
Technology. Again. Wow. So how is that AI? I think we are kind of living where you have a lot of talks about AI happening, AI agents happening. Yeah. Has that AI come into logistics industries too?
So logistics industry on technology breakthrough is not the leading one. The first ones who get is the banks and all. If you see, financial sector is always on the top when any advancements happen. But logistics industry has also been gaining a lot. There is a lot of AI being used, and it's still on a growth stage. There is certain. It requires a lot of investments, and a lot of things may go right, may not go right. And then you need equal partners to collaborate to make it success. Certain companies have been very, very successful and they've been using AI. There are chatbots. So a lot of your queries are all resolved digitally 24/7. You don't need anyone answering a phone call or answering an email. Standard structured activities, which are regular ones, are automated. The emails are replied to an extent of even phone calls where if the queries are very standard ones, you don't need a human resource to answer the phone calls.
Wow, interesting. So I think where you have these processes which kind of are static and requires just an input and an output, it's already being automated, optimized, and being used. Yes. But have you seen any AI solutions lately, which is kind of may not be in use, but have you heard of some which is really something which your peers in the industry or your team at your firm talks about? Look, this AI can kind of disrupt disrupt us or maybe take us out and take away our jobs or something like that?
I would say jobs, losing job is not something fear. It's how you are able to upgrade, upskill yourself. There are digital freight forwarders already in the industry, and it's like .com, and you book your shipments. As I gave you a classic example of Maersk line, where on Maersk.com you can look at the price, look at the ship available, book your shipments, and execute from booking to delivery, everything digitally. So yeah, this is something which, if you ask 10 years back, it was impossible to even think about that this can be done. But today, so the whole company can run digitally. There is nobody involved.
It was interesting. I think 10 years back, definitely there will be a lot of uh, hurdles and restrictions to even think about making it digital. But now I think people are evolving, and I would say transforming. It is very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a huge transformation. I remember, I think so, Maersk and Reliance worked together to execute the first electronic bill of lading a few years back. And somewhere I also read that in China, they have in fact able to even, thanks to AI and thanks to data, they could really track the need of a customer, where an empty containers were placed before a request came from a customer, and this was done by Amazon or somebody. So you can imagine the predictability has gone to a level that the exporter does not even need to make an order for booking a space, where Amazon delivered the empty containers and the goods were loaded, and they managed to fill the ship digitally.
But when we look at the current global logistics industry or the kind of shipment which is happening, we understand there are a lot of wars happening in the West Asia, but I think the other parts of the world are still kind of on, would be safe, and it's kind of continuing.
Yeah, so global demand has been down overall. Europe has been struggling to really come up, thanks to the Russia-Ukraine war, which is going on. So overall, the demand has been not that up to the mark. Germany has been on top, so there has been a good demand. Germany went through their own challenges, and somewhere the stability has been there. So Germany and France on the EU side has been strong. The rest of the countries are still not up to the mark. So demand on the EU zone. See, West is the main consuming sector. So if West is down, then overall the Asian countries would suffer, and the international business would suffer.
You spoke about the digital freight management tools. You spoke about the certifications which are available for being a logistician, right? And you spoke about the kind of change which is happening for people to come and serve in this logistic industry. So, as a audience there, who would the young people out there who want to come into this industry and make some career, right? What is it that he should look forward to, where he could start off with, and what is the opportunities if he is not part of the logistic industry is missing?
Yeah, so the future is pretty good. There has been, fortunately, now enough of institutes in India where you want to pursue a course in logistics. You can do it, can be a straight full time logistics course, or it can be a supply chain course, depending on the area of interest for people. And the future wise, somebody can look at as an operational lead to management role, or business analytics, or on the servicing side. So there are pretty of good opportunities for the youngsters, and we should also understand that this industry has withstand and has been going through various challenges, and still one of the most interesting industry.
Yeah, I'm very sure. I think as we understand more logistics from you, and then when I'm relating back to the kind of incidents of maybe it is a war or any other issue which has happened, uh, we getting food on plate, or maybe we getting some stuff here, uh, uh, what has happened behind, what the people in the logistics industry must have done this to make sure it happened. And firms like you who and leaders like you who have spent sleepless night to make sure, even in such situations where you have force majeure or you have losses or you have to kind of take this hit and write it off, all these challenges, I think still the industry is fit, is fine, and it is still growing. I think it is something which when you look at the industry and when somebody sees that how well it can survive, I think this is the times, this is the piece which I could say, it it is not just surviving, it is, yes, a transformational journey also for the industry. It's great, I think, and also for the people who would be in the industry and who want to join in. I think people should, if they are looking for careers, it is definitely not for light-hearted, but people should realize that, yes, apart from just being there, you should also believe in the industry where you are working.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got a good future. It's just matter of staying interested, whether it's logistics or any industry. And now there are ways and means where you can professionally study and enter an industry instead of getting in and learning the practical way.
Rajesh, my next question to you is, you have worked uh, across many aspects in logistics, right? And also mainly international trade. As a leader, I'm sure there would be a lot of insights and lessons which you may have kind of learned during the entire journey of your career and being a leader. Some interesting insights which you could share with the audience here.
Yeah, I think so. Over the years, the life has taught a lot. And one thing I can swear is if you are having enough of patience, discipline, patience, I say, is you really need to be a very calm leader. There's chaos across, and you beat the chaos by staying calm, staying on top of it. Communication plays a key role where industry things can go really wrong if you're not communicating. Just to give you example of one of the recent example where it was Indigo flight where a wrong command was given and the flight had to come back from it was coming from UK. Things can go really that kind of wrong. So coming back, yeah, it's a lot staying calm, staying committed, and discipline plays a huge important role on the leadership. And these few things, uh, I think so. Life is good. You can handle any kind of challenge, and of course, thanks to the excellent team members, where at the end, how you lead them is the final output.
Yeah, but that's very interesting. I think you said to be a calm leader. So how do you stay calm when a lot of disruptions happening, a lot of uncertainty about things there? You carry a huge team, you have a huge bargain to kind of settle, you have a tremendous pressure from each and every of your entities, your suppliers, your vendors, your teams, maybe or other agencies there, and then you use this word calm.
Yeah, so
How do you do
it's
it?
yeah, so it's a mindset. We need to realize that things that are in your control and things that are not in your control. Now, if you are not clear on things that are not in your control, and if you try to do any action on that, there'll be no results. It is just you're going to disturb yourself and everybody else across. Uh, yesterday we have one of the shipments which landed into US, one of the very top customer, and the salesperson was, so what will I tell my customer? I said, yeah, now the shipment has landed and it's on customs hold just because the customer's wooden packing could not withstand the transit and there are bugs in it now.
Oh,
So, and US authorities will not accept bugs into their own country. So now either they're going to be asking us to ship it back, the whole container, or we would be lucky to get an option to just de- destroy the wooden packing which has got bugs in it and execute the shipment. But we need to make a request, and we'll do our best. So how are we going to communicate with the customer is going to be the important thing, because customer at his own end won't understand these kind of solutions that we can offer them, and we will handle it. So, and then the scenario was very different. The guy was quiet, and we created a nice draft for the customer, giving the feedback as our action happened. We immediately had a con call with our team in US, got the next possible best action that can be done, and have communicated, and customers really appreciated, saying that you guys are doing so much, because at the end it is the goods have the container has been on hold because of his shipment, and now we are going out of the way to resolve that, so that everybody gets their shipment. So this is just a simple thing, but you if you don't handle it right.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a calm mind will give you more opportunities to think, and the leverage which you get with a calm mind. It is an interesting example which you said about bugs coming in wooden. uh, then doesn't a question to a leader again, like uh, there are so much of things in tech happening in logistics. A lot of SOPs being drilled down, a lot of team people doing things, but there is this small things like this example of a case which a bug coming in. So is it that somewhere the quality has kind of been uh, uh, not taken it right way, or maybe somebody over, or it's an oversight of some things which came up?
So we are now 20 years as Teamglobal. We have of course, before starting Teamglobal, we have got almost close to 15 years of experience. So all put together, we have kind of 30 plus. So it's I would say there are proper checklists. Everything is in place. However, we also run through timelines where customers' orders are received on Friday for a ship that has to depart on Monday, and it's a very close cutoff which happens. Customer education awareness required in terms of the kind of wood they are supposed to use, the treated woods. It's basically is a mandate nowadays across the globe, including India. But if some customer has missed or has not
Followed that.
followed that procedure, it's practically difficult. One, two, at times, even if it's a treated one, and if the goods have been exposed to some kind of an uh, uh, water or some kind of an external thing, it can create a fungus while it is on the way. So certain things are not in completely in our control, and uh, uh, in fact, we go out of the way, and we also do fumigation of the container using mostly because it's wood, so we will use methyl bromide to ensure that it can withstand the transit. But sometimes bugs are bugs. In spite of all the care, it can happen.
Wow, crazy. So I think so it's not just the solutions which you bring on table, but it's I think also the visionary kind of leadership which you have and the experiences of these plus 30 years, I think helps you being who you are. It's a calm leader.
Yeah, I mean it's and this industry is amazing. We keep learning. Even today, we keep learning. I mean, there are different cases we get through. The world has been evolving, so we never had an experience all this life. How do you handle now this issue of war, which is in Middle East? And look at Indian government. I mean, they never had any such challenges, but they got a challenge of Middle East. They changed the policy. They had overnight meetings. They came up with a circular to facilitate trade. So you see, everyone, all stakeholders are on top of it to ensure that Indian exporters or importers, they get a good proper solution, and they are not affected as much as possible.
Wow, wow, wow. This is leadership at the best. I think if you want to ask, tell me this. Uh, so then, when we talk of leadership, I think I just want to also add to one more a different view to it.
Hmm.
Where in the logistic industry there are leaders and there are firms who survive, who grow, who build, who scale, and who kind of profit. But there are still certain firms in the industry who kind of fail. So, a kind of what difference and is in that you see as a leader? Maybe if you have experienced something within the industry where there's some similar kind of firms which failed for. So, as a leader, if you could kind of put
Yeah,
your
so
thoughts there.
see, it's a lot of humans involved, where how good are your trainings, how good are manuals, how good are your SOPs in place, how you're supporting to handle a business using technology in place, how good is your so for example, Team Global, we are ISO certified. We have our regular quarterly audits which are happening. We welcome customers to come and get their auditors to our facility to show, and we are so confident because we've been working continuously. It is not a one day activity. So if we are 20-year-old as an organization, last 20 years we have been working hard to keep improving, and it's a service industry where you keep evolving. There is never a day where you say that, okay, I am perfect now and I am full product. No, there is always room of improvements, and I think so. The differentiators are the technology, the people, the training, of course, how we handle finance. That's the heart on running a business, and thanks to the customers and the vendors relationship. So these are few important areas where any organization, if you work on, then you should be good.
Great. So, a very straightforward question to you. If there is a startup in logistics who would like to disrupt something, how do you see them? As a threat or maybe as a learning?
It would be a learning because see the way disruptions are happening in various industries. Um I'm not going to be surprised if something happens in our industry also. However, it would be a learning as we have been one of the matured organizations, and we would love to have a disruption. We keep disrupting within also at many areas, and we keep that's where we keep improving. That's where we get come out with different solutions. So right now we have new solutions for the customers where we are able to give them the visibility of the shipments they book with any other forwarders or any other shipping lines on a real time basis using technology. And this product is a very exceptional product, not offered by many, and this is something which came by us having creating a team, and there was a nice brainstorming session in technology. It's called hackathon kind of thing, but internally we had a brainstorming session and we came out with this kind of solution where a customer finds a lot of value. Example, Jindal does thousands of containers. The containers are booked on various shipping lines to various destinations, but the visibility of which container is where, when it's arriving, when it's going to be departing, where it is stuck somewhere. What we did was we worked out on a digital solution today where on a click, they have a dashboard where they can just can see which container is where. Now imagine the value of the goods. We are able to give them in on time proactive information where they can push any shipping lines, or they can use some intermediaries to ensure that no shipments are stuck. They can inform their buyers. If the buyer has taken a delivery, they can ask for money. So the kind of value they got, and this was one of the pitch we did to one of the customer, and today we have got a good number of big global exporters who are looking at solutions. So this is what digitally you can really do so many things.
Interesting. I think so. You are also kind of internally within your organization making sure that you have that startup seed there so that you keep on continuing disrupting internally, processes get optimized, and basically it's for your customers. And again, it helps the industry there. So, alongside leading a logistics company, which we all know about, that you are leading it superbly excellent there, uh, I know for sure, and you have shared me your experiences of running Ironman races, right? I know that it's the toughest endurance which you could get, which toughest challenge in the world. What inspired you to start that?
Yeah, I think so. I like to challenge myself throughout because if there is no challenge, then you feel something is missing in life. So from starting as a uh, simple 5K runner to advancing to half marathons, to full marathons, to ultras, and then comes a point in time as, okay, what after ultra marathon, what are you going to do, and what more can you do? Then came something called Ironman, which was not very common in India that those years. Of course, now you will find a lot of athletes in India have been doing, and they've been really breaking good numbers. The sport has been growing, but yeah, I also look sport as keeping me disciplined, keeping me on the toes, and it helps me calming down. It helps me a lot to really work smarter and efficiently, and also as a humans, we are supposed to keep challenging our mind, where it doesn't stay calm or stay not calm, but it doesn't relax, and it keeps the learning urge is always on. So I would say not only Ironman, but anyone can go for any sport which will help you.
Wow, it's very interesting. I think when you said about how it is helping you stay calm and how you also are challenging to be a better human, better person, better uh, X out there. Uh, but when you have to lead a firm, when you have to lead your own family, which is a personal life, and when you have to have your own set of identity, which is you pushing from 5K to ultra marathons and then doing the next level. Uh, where is this tangent going? Is this leadership, or is it something which you are passionate about? How do you correlate leadership and passion with your Ironman and you handling your daily work
I would
operations?
say whether it's you are a leader or you are a non-leader, the passion has to be there for execution and to do the best in your life in anything that you do. Without passion, there is nothing. But coming back, yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of advantages where I have that me time when I'm training myself. And this is a sport where you require a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. So overall, it is a good work-life balance, and amazing time management skills that you can learn. And while you are doing your workouts, you have a zone where you can really think a little extra than a normal course. Nobody is there to disturb you, and that is the zone that I would love to be every day morning.
Wow. I think that's your killer zone, which makes you keep passionate and also keep pushing you at the work, being a leader there. It's very interesting. I do love your challenge to yourself being into fitness, and that fitness is helping you staying calm as a leader. Very interesting, Rajesh. Uh, to anyone out there who thinks fitness helps you be a better leader, right? Or who thinks fitness helps you not be a better leader. Because when we talk of fitness and when we talk of leadership, I think fitness is a very different set of isolated track which we have to pursue. And then leadership, again, we all think of, hey, look, we need to go to some B school, we need to do some lot of book reading, we need to do something with a mentor or something. And then that's a different take of track. But if there's a junction somewhere where fitness and leadership comes together, I think as you're been in this 30 years, what would that junction be? Just maybe it's a one word, one sentence, whatever comes to your mind, basically.
Uh, I would say doing what you enjoy will help you a big way, whether you do sport or you take a leadership role. It only helps you if you have fun in that. So
Okay. To have fun doing what you
have
love.
fun. It should not be a stress at all. It's not going to help.
Wow. Wow. So I think it's very interesting insight which you given, like for somebody who's doing fitness and being a leader, I think have fun doing what you love. And that's the kind of junction where I think where will we see a calm leader like you. Uh, so looking at back at your journey in logistics, what has surprised you the most about this industry?
It's fascinating. It's amazing. I mean, you after 30 years also, I don't feel bored to go to the office. I know I'm going to learn something. I'm going to have some challenging thing at the desk in the day, and opportunity to interact with so many people, local as well as international, learning cultures, learning global geopolitics, for example. You're on top of the world, so you always there is something happening across, and I think so this industry gives a lot in return, and that is something which keeps I don't know any other industry that can give so much the way logistics industry gives it. You know, especially in the international logistics, you know, almost across what's happening around the world, and culture, if you can know more about a culture, then that is something very special, because it's one of the difficult subject for people to understand, and yeah.
Wow. So if I had to ask you, how many countries have you traveled?
I think so I've covered up quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Being the
it's
logistic guy.
yeah, it's we keep moving around, meeting a lot of customers, our partners, because at the end, our job is half done at the origin. If it's an export shipment, the half job, the important job also is at destination. So we need to have equivalent, efficient, quality partners, which we have. We have one of the best in the world, which helps us to execute shipments smoothly and fulfill our commitments, which we give to the customer in terms of schedules, in terms of operational efficiencies, and deliveries.
Now, this is a very wild question there. If Rajesh had its own AI agent, would you love that? Someday, on your seat, it's not Rajesh, it's Rajesh's AI agent.
I would love that. I would love that. As we say, we keep improving, and we have a team taking care, so that we can do something more. So there is never an end, as I said. Every day, even today, I can go and learn. So if whatever basics I'm doing, if somebody else can do, that's what we do. That's how our teams are advancing, and that's how we give growth to people who are in our organization. Otherwise, if there is no growth, then holding people for a long is difficult.
Right, right. Very interesting. I think you're very strong, positive about how people should pursue something, either it is fitness or it is leadership or it is growth in matter. Interesting. And I can hats off to you in terms of saying yes to this particular AI agent piece, because I've been talking to a lot of other leaders there, and the answers are not that positive.
Yeah, it's a fear. See, as I said, somewhere during the course, we did speak about fear. Why to have fear? I mean, we should be confident enough that, okay, if that is the case, let me do something else.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
something better,
yeah,
which
and
again helps growth.
also AI, it's going to take time. It's not that easy. We are looking at a lot of solutions, but we've been moving around the market because logistics, having a AI in a structured world is very different than having a AI support on a world where things are not everything in your control. Because at the end, our main role is to work with vendors across the world, and it's how well we have appointed them, how well is our contracts clarified with them, and how well we are communicating with them, and effective follow-ups for us to come with the best outcome. So it's a very complex world where nothing is in your control. We as a logistics company, we don't have our ship, we don't have our containers. All we have got is our team and the experience to execute shipments.
In one sentence, your love for logistics industry.
Uh, it's life. It's life. Without I don't know. It's life for me. It's life for the world. Without logistics, I can't imagine what would happen.
I think I could get this now after meeting you and understanding what logistics is. It's life. Great. Thank you, Rajesh, for being here on the podcast with us and sharing your stories. We understand what logistics is all about, how the current West Asia war is shaping the industry, and the challenges I think uh, people face, the citizens face, the global economies face, and what is the industry being doing and holding up on. I think it's an eye opener. And I really thank you for coming down today and taking out time for us to kind of, talk about this.
Thank you, Rowan. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always pleasure. We love to share more about the industry for the awareness for the youngsters and how it can be a great choice of a career and make a life out of the industry, which is fascinating and growing. Thank you once again.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. If this episode inspired you, do share it with someone who should hear this. Do like, share, and follow our channel for more heroes like this.